My name is Sarah Jones and I'm Deputy Dean in the Faculty of Computing, Engineering and Media at De Montfort University. And we've got a really, really exciting event today celebrating International Women in Engineering Day. It's something that is really important in our faculty, so it's a great opportunity now to shine a light on all those in engineering that we work with and we see studying every day. Now, this event is being recorded and we would love you to get involved. You'll see there's a comments button. Add your comment there. There will be time for questions and answers towards the end of this event, so do please get involved. It's really important for us at DMU to shine a light on International Women in Engineering Day. UCAS data from 2017 to 2018 showed only 35% of students on STEM subjects identified as being female. In computer science and engineering alone, it falls to 19%. Most worrying is the work of STEM women, who found that 60% of female STEM students say that their future prospects have been affected by the COVID pandemic. So it's really important for us now to talk to the great women that we see every single day within our faculty working in engineering. Our colleagues are incredible at raising the profile of women in STEM. We have staff leading on international grants to students graduating and achieving great roles in industry. And there are so many heroes for us to celebrate. Joining me today in this panel is some great colleagues and one very, very special student. So I'd like each one to come to the floor and to briefly introduce themselves. So first up is Shushma.
Thank you very much, Sarah, and what a pleasure it is to be here celebrating International Women in Engineering Day, especially from the Faculty of Computing, Engineering and Media, so CHEM, as you know, we're known. So I'm Sujit Patel. I am Pro-Vice Chancellor and Dean for the faculty and passionate about everything to do with equality, diversity, inclusion, but especially about women in STEM careers. And why wouldn't I be? Because this is me, this is my career. And we have a fantastic faculty, but also across the university, brilliant opportunities for female students and staff to achieve their potential. And you'll hear some of them today. Thank you, Sarah.
Thank you very much. And next up, we have Lillyana.
Hello, everyone, and thank you, Sarah, for this really great introduction to this important day and why is this day important. So I'm Lillyana Marianovich Halberd. I'm head of School for Engineering and Sustainable Development. I'm myself a mechanical engineer, although I do work in built environment. So I'm a professor of building energy and information. I am very passionate about my own area of expertise and research. And yes, I would like all female students to sort of go and study engineering and especially work in the area I do. But I'm very passionate about gender equality. And personally, I am still bemused that we are in 2021 and we still have to discuss these days. And I have always mixed feeling because why do we have a Women in Engineering Day? Obviously, because something is wrong. Otherwise, we would have both Men in Engineering Day, right? So I do have mixed feelings whenever we kind of have days like this, because that reminds me that we are still struggling with gender equality and in some areas more than others.
Thank you very much. Next up, we have Rafi.
Hello, everyone. Thank you for inviting me to this day. I'm Rafaela Villa. I'm professor in environmental bioengineering. I actually not an engineer, but I work in engineering, which is quite interesting. So I'm originally trained in a STEM subject in applied microbiology, but then moving to the engineering side in processing. And again, like Lillyana, I'm very passionate about the subject that I teach. I work in waste and wastewater engineering, which is actually a subject that is predominantly male dominated. I don't know why, because we are actually quite good at finding solutions to problems like waste and wastewater cleaning. So I'm really passionate about seeing more women doing what I do.
Great, thank you. And Zahor.
Hello, everyone. Thank you very much, Sarah, for inviting me to this day. I'm very glad to be among you. So I'm Joanne Belhatier. I'm a lecturer in control engineering. I have been always passionate about mathematics, but I was always interested in the applied mathematics and how can I translate this to the real problems we are facing nowadays. And this is what brought me to do control engineering, because to my point of view, it's the discipline where it combines nicely mathematical tools and then the engineering tools. I'm very passionate about the research I'm doing, and I'm always inciting female and girls to go into the engineering, because it's really a broad field that they can benefit from it. So yeah, thank you, Sarah, again for inviting me.
Fantastic. And one of those students that we have joining us today is Ellie. Welcome to the panel, Ellie. Maybe you could just tell us a little bit about yourself.
Hi, everyone. Thank you, Sarah. So I'm Ellie Lilly, and I have just finished my first year of mechanical engineering at De Montfort. And I'm really proud to be representing the next generation of female engineers. And hopefully there will be many of you taking part in that.
Fantastic. Thank you. Ellie, I'm going to start with you for the first question. I think because you are a first-year student, you've been here, obviously, through a really difficult first year with COVID at the university. But what was it that made you want to study engineering? Did you have any stories, any inspirations that made you want to come to DMU to study it?
So my father works at a nuclear power station. So from like a really young age, I remember being really interested in getting a tour around the plant. And apart from that, I've always just liked knowing how things work. So engineering seemed like a very natural course for me.
Fantastic. Thank you. Okay, first question for everybody is around those specific experiences of being a woman in engineering. Anything that you would like to share? I'm going to start first with Shushma, because I can see you right next to me on the screen.
Thank you very much, Sarah. So any experiences about being a woman in engineering I'd like to share? I think what I'd like to share is that so there aren't enough women in engineering, and my most significant experience in terms of the fact that I'm a female and that I'm in engineering is when I met a student, and he said to my PA, "I've come to see the dean." And he said, "Okay." She said, "Okay, she's busy, but she'll come and see you in a minute." And I went out to greet him, and he said to me, "I've come to see the dean." And I said, "Yes, I am the dean." And he said, "But yes, you're a female." So I think what that is really important, and it brings to mind, is that the visibility. So the experience that I'd want to share is that we need to be visible as female engineers. We need to be able to be those role models for the pipeline of engineers that need to come through. The funny thing was that he was so apologetic, and he didn't, but I think in his mind he expected a man to come and greet him and to come and speak to him. So I think for me, the experience that I'd like to share, and which I think is important, is the visibility of female representation, and amplify that female representation in engineering.
Great. And I think that's what's so great in our faculty. And of course, I'm very biased towards our faculty, but we have a female dean. But not only that, we have a female head of engineering. So Lillyana, thank you for taking on that role and definitely shining a light and being very visible as a woman in engineering. But what about you? Any kind of specific experiences that you would like to share?
I think our own personal experiences are very different, because I think it's also very cultural. I mean, obviously, I'm not a native British person. I mean, I come from Serbia, and the ratio there of female in engineering is much higher. And for example, you go to civil engineering, you will be surprised, and 75% of students are female. Same for electrical and electronic engineering. I mean, you struggle to find a boy, really, because we do computer science as part of electrical engineering, but certainly in computer science. I mean, my goodness, I mean, in Serbia, it's really female dominated. So I think it's very culturally different. But having said that, because I did study mechanical engineering, and I was smiling when I was listening to Zehor, because I'm a control engineer, and I actually consider myself to be an applied mathematician. Because for me, engineers are those people who take mathematics in practical, rather than sort of doing theorems. We take the practicality that maths bring with us, and we solve problems. So I really like to think about myself as sort of kind of applied mathematician, which attracted me to control theory, which is the same undergraduate degree. But of course, so in the mechanical engineering in Serbia, the percentage of female students is not very high, but in my generation was close to 30%. But of course, I was exposed to comments like, from a lecturer in the class in front of other students, she got the highest mark, Lillyana got the highest mark, if only she understands. Did that bother me? No, not really. So, I mean, again, we go back to this fact that that kind of, it's as a female engineer, you do have to kind of, fight sexism, and you will come across that. But, my message is, do you really care? I mean, it's their problem, it's not your problem. I mean, it's just I stopped sort of wasting my time and energy kind of thinking about it, but obviously doing everything I can by example to sort of show that I actually do understand. I do have a highest mark, and guess what? I do also understand. So, yeah.
I love that response, Lillyana. I think that's great. I don't care because I've got the smarts and you haven't. But I always worry, because there's that age, isn't there, when females suddenly start being recognizing, and it's as they head into puberty, and then they start thinking that they don't want to win in running races, and they don't want to be top of the class, and all that kind of stuff, and the perception. So what's your advice then in terms of managing that? How can you get that confidence that you speak of so well, and say, it doesn't matter what you think because I know I'm smart?
I don't know. And I have to be very honest. I wish I can have a magic bullet. I mean, I have one child, it's a boy, okay? And I wish I have a girl, because my goodness, I would raise her to be kind of, this avenger. But I don't, right? I have a boy who I ask all the time, like, what does school teach you about gender equality? And he kind of looks at me like, So, I mean, I don't want to sound defeatist, but I think we all have work to do. And I think it starts from home, because I was really lucky to have a father who was absolutely like, I never felt that he sees in me a girl or a boy. He saw a child with potential, and he was absolutely, I mean, my mother too, but that's what mothers do. I mean, but, for my father, I could be whatever I want. If I want to be an astronaut, I'll be an astronaut. So there was this sort of kind of, or if I want to stay at home and do knitting, he's perfectly happy with me. So he raised me that I can do, I used to quote him. He used to tell me, and he called me son, which is a Serbian expression. You would call children son, whether they're boys or girls, but again, also to these cultural weaknesses. And he used to tell me, my son, you can do whatever you want. You can be a shoemaker, you can be a professor of university, which was my mom's dream, but be the best. Choose whatever you want to do, but be the best. And I never really thought that I'm taking it in, but I think 40 years on, I kind of think I did.
My 6-year-old often says that she wants to be the tooth fairy, so I'm not sure how I can really help her with that. But the alternative from a very young age is that she wanted to be an engineer, and she loves, there's a kids cartoon book called Rosie Revere the Engineer, which I would highly recommend. So Rafi, over to you. Any specific experiences of being a woman in engineering that you would like to share?
Yeah, I think I like to share one where I kind of I was in a meeting. As I said, waste and wastewater is pretty much dominated by men. And I actually do some work on sewers and fatbergs, so actually it is mainly men. So I was in this meeting and someone was taking notes, and the person next to me, I was the only woman in the room, so the person next to me turned around and said, "Shouldn't you take notes?" And I kind of thought, why? Because I'm the only woman here. I wasn't quite sure if it was just because I was younger or because I was a woman. Anyway, my take-home message there was, no, I shouldn't. Anyway, but what I've learned from that experience is that I kind of stood my, I was relevant to that meeting. I made very useful comments. I was professional, and then that gets recognized. Is intimidating, because if you're the only woman around the table, it is somehow intimidating. But once you pass that first barrier, when people realize that, actually she knows, like Lillyana said, she knows what she's doing, she knows that subject, that front, that facade, that female facade disappear, and you are a person. So girls, don't be frightened or sitting at the table, because once that first moment of, oh, she's a female, why is she here? Once that is passed, and you show that you know what you're doing, and you're passionate about your work, and you are the best at your work, like Lillyana, like Lillyana said, you that's it. You're not anymore a woman, and everything falls into place somehow. So that's my experience.
Fantastic. So, how about yourself?
Actually, I totally agree on the fact that we have to admit that engineering is a male-dominated field. Whether we like it or not, but this is a reality that we have to admit. If I have to share maybe one point, as an undergrad, I was an undergrad at École Polytechnique, and when I was looking around, more than 80% of my classmates was males. And I think the question there that I was receiving, that do you think that you are capable of excelling in this course, the coding one, because I was a female from some of my classmates? And what was that intimidating to me? Not really, but it gave me that push that I have to work hard to prove myself. And working hard, being a minority, working hard to prove yourself, I think this is a key message that all females need to do. Whatever obstacles you are getting, just work hard, follow your instinct, whatever you want to do. And then at the end, I remember at the end of that year, I was the first in my class, and then some of the boys came to see me and said, "We are sorry about what we were telling you." But I think my message there, just be passionate about what you are doing and go ahead, and don't be intimidated, because again, we have to admit that it's a male. It's a field where it is male. It is more for males than females. So that's it.
Great, thank you. And Ellie, that same question to you, and obviously you're new into the engineering world, doing your undergraduate degree. Have you had any specific experiences, or maybe from your dad as that kind of inspiration coming into it?
Well, I've had really positive experiences so far with my parents, but I went to an all-girls secondary school, which, while it had its difficulties, it was also really nice. There was a lot of support. We got visits to different talks, or the Big Bang Fair, made Egglanders and stuff. So all of my education was kind of encouraged the whole way through. And I think in today's day and age, I mean, there's recently been quite a few campaigns in young people in STEM trying to get through the next generation of engineers. But in particular, the lack of women in engineering has been highlighted. And I think my generation is starting to see the fruition of some of those efforts from you guys. So I was able to go to a university summer school that was kind of aimed at women or those from first generation undergrad families. And that really helped get me into university. And this summer, I'm also taking part in a nano degree with Code First Girls. And they're an organisation that are providing skills space and inspiration for women to thrive in a tech setting. So they give free courses to women learning to code. So all of that has been really, really positive.
It's great hearing about that wealth of support. And I know we always celebrate women in STEM. We've got new students, Women in STEM Society as well. There's some students have put together, which is brilliant. But why do you think it is that even with that support, it's still difficult to get women to go into into kind of engineering or the STEM subjects? What is it, Ellie, do you think?
I think it's a socialization of girls from a very young age. Like you see in the shops, you have the baby jumpsuits with "I'm Daddy's hero" or "I'm Daddy's princess," or and you know from such a young age, and what toys you're encouraged to play with, whether that's toy diggers or Barbies. It's then reinforced by the media. Really, there are very many positive female engineers. I think something that irritates me a little is the Big Bang Theory. It kind of brands us all as nerds and tryhards, and it's not true. We're all wonderful, unique, individual women. And I think that needs to be represented more before you're going to get more women in engineering.
Okay, that's really interesting. Thank you. Lillyana, what's your thoughts? You obviously worked in education, you're head of our school. Why do you think so few female students are coming through to work in engineering?
So again, as I said, it's quite cultural, and I would agree with Ellie from my sort of, I kind of lived here in the UK since very late 99 on and off, and then with my family I settled in since 2005 really. And my experience having my own child going through to primary school, I think it is really here from the very early age. So I experienced here something I didn't experience back home, which really puzzled me, because obviously if you're in Serbia or in my time in Yugoslavia, you look in the UK and you think like, my goodness, they are like, this superpower. They must do everything so much better than us, absolutely everything. And then I come here and then I realized that already the primary school, there is this assumption indeed that girls are not good at maths. And like, why would girls study maths? And then it kind of trickles really down from there. So, and again, I think we need to approach girls even younger than high school. It has to be already in the primary school. And we have to bust this myth. I mean, it's 21st century. I mean, engineering is something you do from your computer, and I mean, in the comfort of wearing your high heels, if you're into wearing high heels. I mean, who cares? I mean, what I'm trying to say, it's the 21st century. It's not engineering. It's not anything that's kind of, you have to get yourself dirty and wear some sort of kind of trench coat and whatever, and have greasy hands and a smell of machine oil. I mean, it's far from it. It's simply not anymore like that, if maybe it was last century. But I think it is absolutely, I agree with everything that Ellie said. And I think we all really need to share our part, to kind of to do our part to kind of change that social perception, and to kind of fight the media stereotypes. And I like the comment on Big Bang Theory, because actually that used to be one of our favorite family sitcoms. And only now, after decades of watching it, you realize, wait a second, the two female characters there, right? One is a non-attractive nerd, dare I say that, however politically incorrect it is, but the attractive one is not an academic, apparently. And then you have that. I mean, it's just ridiculous, isn't it?
Well, Bernadette is biomedical engineer, isn't she? We could
yes, you have a third one, sorry, who makes money because she works in a pharmaceutical company. Unbelievable, yeah.
But she did her PhD, didn't she, in biomedical engineering? And then Amy was, what was Amy? Neurobiology.
I think neurobiologist or something like that, yeah.
Yeah, I am a huge Big Bang nerd, so I'm going to question it now, Ellie. Though you're going to make me watch it again, and I'm going to be questioning that. Rafi, what's your experiences with students you see coming through? Why do you think there are so few female students? What's the cause, and how can we change it?
Yeah, I agree with what everybody said before me, because actually I've got a girl and a boy, and I actually felt very much like that. She didn't like being good at maths because she was in the top table with all the boys. So it didn't, it wasn't good. And I heard her once saying, "Oh, science is for boys," and I was just like, "What? Science is not for boys. I'm not a boy. Come on." So I think there is a lot of there's one age where the girls, start deciding, or kind of they're influenced by the environment about not being good at certain subjects. And I agree with Lillyana that unfortunately it is a bit of a problem here in the UK in particular, because although there is a majority of men in engineering, I come from Italy, is less so it's less a bigger gap than it is in UK. I've got a niece that is doing engineering in Italy, so it is not such a big issue. So it must be something cultural here, maybe. And yeah, certainly what we see on the telly and what we get from the environment is influencing a lot. Yeah, I've done a lot of STEM. I've done a lot of outreach in schools for girls. And once you start talking about what you actually do, girls get interested. What is the day job of an academic, or what is the day job of an engineer? They do get, kind of interested, and they, there's a lot of misinformation on what an engineer does. So maybe a little bit more, I don't know, pink diggers, or some kind of boy toys in a pink.
It goes back to that stereotype, doesn't it? We spoke about that stereotype in this
absolutely,
which I think is really important. And so can I come to you? And I want to think about those challenges that you faced, and how you've overcome those. So have you got any experience of particular challenges you faced because of being a woman in engineering?
To be honest, fortunately, I didn't face any challenge of being a woman in engineering. And this is because I agree totally with Lillyana. Maybe it's cultural. For example, I think the connotation of being an engineer in my country, it's like it's a prestigious occupation, either for girls or for males or females. So there was not that stereotype of being a female in engineering, and this is again cultural. But if I would say one challenge, or it's an obstacle that I self-put to myself, it's again related of being a minority in a male-dominated field. So again, for me, it was always asking myself, what can I do to prove myself? So you have to put more effort to prove yourself. And to put more effort, you have to be proactive. You have to include yourself in group activities, even if you are not asked to do that. And this is the way how you will be learning more from others, from your classmates, from your colleagues. So always be proactive. Whatever the obstacles you are facing for females, always be proactive. Include yourself in discussions. And it's not your fault of being female at all. So, you have just to carry on. It's not your fault of being interested in a field which is male-dominated. So this is mainly the main obstacle that I was putting to myself. It's more pressure. And the way how I get out from that, just by working hard, be proactive, include yourself in work discussion, even if you are not invited to. This is the only way how you can excel in your field.
Absolutely. I think it's the thing, isn't it? Whatever you do as a female, you've got to do it twice as good. But I do think female is our superpower. So I'm going to cling on to that one. So Shushma, with being female as your superpower, what challenges have you faced particularly, and how have you overcome those?
I will totally agree with what Zahor said just now, that it's about putting yourself forward, throwing that hat into the ring, and making sure that if those opportunities do not come to you, that you find those opportunities. And it's really, really important to ensure that we support that pipeline coming through. So in response to your previous question, Sarah, it was, and listening to the rest of the panel, it's true that girls, 2 daughters I have, both in male-dominated fields. One is a mechanical engineer, and so, proud of both of them. And when you look at that, it is about making sure that you find those opportunities and overcome those challenges. You do have to work I would say more than double hard. So, you do need to be that super person. You need to put everything else to one side and just go for what you want to achieve more than anything else. So overcoming those challenges is about putting yourself outside of your comfort zone and trying to achieve what you want to achieve more than anything else. And it's that bit when you're in your comfort zone, you kind of sail along, but it's beyond that. What is it that makes you feel uncomfortable but enables you to learn a bit more?
Great. And Ellie, can I ask you that question as well? Kind of starting out in your journey, have you faced challenges yet that you think, and how have you overcome them, and how would you help other students, female students wanting to go into engineering, how would you help them overcome the same challenges?
I think it comes back to a socialisation thing. I've spent quite a lot of time in the Air Cadets or the Scouts, and I was the only girl, first and only, for quite a while in my Scout troop. But those numbers are increasing, so I think each of us is paving the way for the next generation. I mean, there's that quote about standing on the shoulders of giants. It really speaks to me. But yeah, just go for it and try and get involved in a bit of everything, and you will figure out what it is you want to do, and don't let anybody else put you off from that.
I love all of the go for it messages that are coming through really, really strongly in this panel. I always used to say to everybody, you've just got to stick your hand up for everything. Whatever opportunity comes your way, stick your hand up for it, because you never know what's going to happen. There's a comment from Fawad here about the Dubai Expo, which is happening later this year, obviously postponed from last year. And there's a program in that around raising awareness of the need for more females in science, engineering, technology. So yeah, we are going to be there. We've got a couple of projects in the faculty. It'll be really good to see more and hear more about what's happening there as well. I want to move from education and kind of look at industry and think about the industry environments and what's happening there. From your experiences, and I'll come to you, Lillyana, first. What's the environment like for women going into engineering within industry? Is there still a lot of support, or is it still very male dominated there?
I mean, I like to say that I'm a professional academic. So I personally never worked in industry, right? So I don't really know. I know only second-hand experience. But from what I know from second-hand experience, not really, because again, once you are sort of employer, so it kind of varies, right? What is the experience on the shop floor? I think, again, we go back to a culture. So I hear stories from my female colleagues that there are companies which are absolutely fantastic to work for. And there is really they don't feel that they need to do double to be noticed, and everybody are really sort of treated equal. Then there are again companies which are not so. And again, when you go back to kind of interviewing experiences, again, I'm just saying what I've heard from others. Some interviews are, really pleasant experience, and some are just like, do you plan to have kids? Regardless of that being a legal question. So again, we sort of go back to sort of really how much an individual, how much collective, how much society, the group you're currently sort of involved with, is actually emancipated at the end of the day. And here is my dog who wants to join the conversation. I'm sorry, but these are the perks of working from home.
That's all right. My children just got home from school, so now they're being shipped out ready to go to gymnastics or whatever it is today. So completely understand that. As we said, women, we have to work twice as hard as everybody else.
And these are the challenges that we face. It's balancing all of these different aspects of our life.
I do think some of our male colleagues have to do exactly the same as well. But we're all juggling. We are all juggling. So what about you and your experiences with students going into industry and getting jobs? How is the environment there, and is it conducive to women working?
To be honest, like what Lillyana said, I don't have quite an experience in the fourth line with working in industry. But as an undergrad, I have the opportunity to have an internship. It was a month internship in the desert, in petroleum field. And I think it depends on the company you are working with. I was in an international company where they were really helping the female to get involved more. But I cannot say a lot about it because I didn't have quite experience working in the field or the industry. But I'm sure that it depends on the philosophy that the company is having internally. And I hope that all industries are thinking that females, if they want to have a hard hat and work in the field and can do it, just give them the chance. Because I think we have this, again, a stereotype of repairing a car, putting your harder hat and going to the field. It's not for you. And all industries should give the opportunity to the female if they want to do that, if they like doing that. But for me personally, I don't have experience in working directly in the field or in industry. Yeah.
Rafi, what about yourself?
Same. I'm a professional academic like Lillyana, but I can talk about the water industry, for example. So for the company that I work with, I've got a number of female engineers now, and I think the head of Severn Trent is a female. So there's a very good stir towards equality in that area, and there's a lot of foreigners, and so I'm pledged to the British girl. Please do join engineering. You're needed. And he's so he's I think there are industry that are more open. Another area that I work on is anaerobic digestion of food waste, and again it seems to be very much female dominated. There's a lot of female engineers working in that area, so there are sectors that are more open to female, or it kind of has become a little bit of a kind of an easier, and I think is a self-perpetrating story. You see female there and you kind of attracted to it. So that's my contribution, unfortunately.
If you see it, you can be it. That whole philosophy. Shushma, do you think industry is doing enough to encourage women into STEM, or should they be doing more?
I think there's always an opportunity to do more, but I think industry is waking up to ensuring that we have that diversity of not just of talent as well as diversity on the whole. And I think in engineering in particular, there are so many brilliant initiatives around where you can have industry mentors. So, you know, from school, probably secondary school onwards, you know, when children are starting to think about careers, mentoring for that. And once you come into university as well, lots of industries, especially where you've got fewer female engineers working with them. There are schemes which are around to support that. So there is some opportunity, but there's always a lot more we can do. I mean, if we look at what happens in the classroom and we say there aren't enough female engineering students or STEM students, and remember STEM. So my background is in science. When I was studying as an undergraduate, there was quite a lot of female students, but in engineering in specific, and when we're talking about computing and engineering, there aren't enough female students. There are more in the classroom than there are in industry. And so it's that leaky pipeline. What's happening to those girls who study engineering, study computing, and when they move into industry, they're not as visible that you'd like. Certainly, you know, more visibility for those in that pipeline in industry. They're not there. So we need to fix that.
Absolutely. Ellie, you've obviously done a lot of placements in the summer, the coding camps. I don't know if you've done any other work experience at all, but do you think industry is doing enough? Is there the visibility that you need to encourage you to continue your engineering career?
For me, I don't think so. I'm lucky enough to have a Rolls-Royce internship for the summer, so I'm hoping that will probably inform me a bit more on what it's like actually in industry. But the people I've met there have been incredible, and they've got really good support networks created within the company. So yeah, I mean, my proudest achievement today would be winning the Undergraduate of the Year award for excellence through adversity. But they did have another category that was specifically for women in STEM. So I've met some incredible people through that.
And yeah, I'm sure all of us, Shushma gave a big clap, I'm sure all of us are giving you a huge round of applause right now for winning that award. You also just took my next question because I was going to ask about achievements. Certainly when we talk about women in STEM or engineering or technology or anything like that, anything around gender diversity, the big thing is that women don't amplify their achievements enough. We don't shout about our achievements as much as we need to. So I want to take the time now to really shout about those achievements and think about what you are most proud of that you've achieved within engineering. So a big question, and I want you to really shout it. I want us to be able to really shout about how great all of these achievements are. So Lillyana, coming to you first, what is your biggest achievement in engineering to date?
Oh dear, it's really difficult for me to do that, so to talk about achievements. And you're absolutely right, Sarah, because I'm kind of like, I'm just doing my job. I kind of, you know, is achieving your potential an achievement? I really have this genuine conundrum, philosophical conundrum, because for me, it's not. It's kind of, you know, you're kind of somehow, you just failed everyone if you don't act as if you don't kind of act up to your abilities. But you're right. I mean, it's men won't do that. Now, if you're talking to my male colleague, there will be a list. The project I was leading won. What was that? European Water Innovation Award. I was the best student in my generation. I was this. I was that. It's you know, it's just I have that many papers published and etc. But I do suffer from I don't suffer anymore from the imposter syndrome. That I shaked off. I'm proud to be head of School of Engineering and Sustainable Development. I mean, currently I'm very proud of my school. So I'm very proud of my colleagues. That's easy for me. It's very easy for me to be proud of others. So I'm incredibly proud of my school and my colleagues, and I'll leave it at that.
Fantastic. I know we're very proud to have you as a female head of school as well, which I think is great, especially in terms of that visibility. Zahor,
what's a difficult question, Sarah? That's a difficult question, but I think I'm very proud of crossing different countries in my career, going from Africa, from my home country, having my undergrad there, going to the Middle East for my PhD, and then going to the US for my postdoc, and then coming here to start my my academic career. I think I'm very proud of that pathway. It wasn't always easy, of course. Ups and downs, different cultures, different work environment, but I think it's my big achievement that surviving all those experiences, work experiences that I had before. One thing maybe I'm prouder about is, like I said, working in the engineering field, but I was always fascinated by health sciences. How can I help people who are suffering or who are dying? And I think my big achievement is when I had this experience of working with medical doctor when I was in the US, and I felt like the satisfaction that I can help people who are suffering. And this is the moment I think I'm very proud of, that experience of working with clinicians and try to put my knowledge, engineering knowledge, to help other people who are suffering. But this is obviously a very difficult question, Sarah, but I'm very proud about the career path from my undergrad until now, where I'm DMU among you.
I think that is a great achievement, and that's why we're asking this question, because it's really important. Rafi, the spotlight is now on you. Tell us about your biggest achievement in engineering to date.
Okay, so I think I'm going to be a female here. So my big achievement is that I've been hopefully a good mom and also a good engineer. Okay, so that's my achievement. In terms of career-wise, I don't know. We do. You're right. We are a bit shy. Just to give an example, I've been on telly for a couple of times on Channel 4 exactly, and I didn't tell anyone. And it was just and it was just after that I thought, why didn't I tell anyone? You know, and I don't know. It was just I was proud of what I've done, and I was proud that I was part of the team, and I was, invited to talk about my work. But at the same time, I think being recognized and being invited to it was quite a big program. So being invited as an expert in my field was thank you, Lillyana, was a big achievement. It was about Fatberg, but I'm proud of it.
It is the biggest problem, though, isn't it? Because that's a great achievement, and that's why we do need to celebrate. It's why this day is so important, but it needs to happen all the time. We always need to shine a light on our colleagues doing exceptional work. Shushma, a colleague doing exceptional work. What's your biggest achievement to date?
Just like everybody else has said, this is a challenging question. I think, and I'm going to refer back to what Rafaela has said. Definitely. Two daughters who have entered or will be entering careers in male-dominated areas. That, I think, is really fantastic for me personally, because they've, well-balanced, well-focused, centered, I think, young women, but, engineers at the end of the day. And so to me, to bring up children, to bring up two daughters in that kind of environment has been fantastic. But the most important thing is that just look at this panel. I'm proud to be part of Chem and the faculty. Just look at this panel. I mean, isn't it amazing? Each and every one, all of us, the females here. I mean, what is there not to be proud of? And I think that's really important to me, to have those visible role models, as I keep saying, to amplify the contribution that women can make in every single discipline. But for us in computing engineering, in STEM subjects, is really, really important. So I'm proud of that, very, very proud of that.
So Ellie, because you started this question, I'm going to leave you with the final word for it as well. You've obviously got so much to be proud of already. Are there any other achievements that you think are that you're really proud of so far?
Sorry, was on mute. Yeah, so when I was an air cadet, there was a course which is one of the highest in the organisation, called the Qualified Aerospace Instructors course. We learned some really high-level aviation studies, aerodynamics, and what's more is how to teach those subjects to like future generations of 13 to 18-year-olds, which was a huge deal for me. But I know you've said that I've had quite a lot of achievements. Trust me, I still get imposter syndrome. Before today, I was like, there are so many amazing people on this panel, and then there's me. So
you are amazing.
You've just got to believe in yourself with it. And we all suffer from imposter syndrome. It doesn't mean it's true.
Absolutely. And we know that you're a great ambassador for DMU as well. So I know we're very, very proud to have you here. So great stuff, and keep it up. I know we're all really excited to see where your career goes. I'm very, very conscious of the time. We don't have long left. So I just want to end with final kind of tips or recommendations for people that are watching this, that may either be thinking about going into an engineering job or studying engineering, or who are working in engineering that might have an interest. Any tips or recommendations that you can offer? So we will start with Shushma. Over to you first.
Thanks, Sarah. The tip or the recommendation I would make, whether you're looking for a career or you're already in a career in engineering, is explore. It's not, and as some people have said, it's not greasy hands, overalls and a hard hat. The diversity and the variety of careers that you can have in engineering, and we've heard about some of these already from panel members, but it's not that hard hat, greasy hands. If that's what you want, there is that for you anyway, but it goes beyond that. We've got control engineers, process engineers, biomedical engineering. The diversity of careers is really, really important. And the other thing is, make the most of your opportunities. And Ellie has already referred to that. There are so many opportunities out there to experience. Go and try out different work experiences if you can do that. So explore those kinds of opportunities and avenues. Trial and error. You'll find something that you really enjoy, and that would be fantastic.
Lillyana.
Yes, I think that people don't quite understand how multidisciplinary engineering is. So, and that would really be my message. So I don't know why, but I have a feeling, and maybe I'm wrong, that people perceive that is somehow a boring career or a boring job, which is simply not true. Because at one open day, somebody sort of challenged me to kind of describe engineering in what engineers do. And I say, they solve problems. And again, going back to Zehor, and I often go to medicine, there will be no achievements in medicine if it hasn't been supported by engineers. So engineers solve problems. And because they solve problems, they essentially solve problems for other people, obviously, or other industries too. And that is that huge variety in career paths exist. And it's very multidisciplinary. You can easily change companies, change profiles, change your interest. So actually, if you are into kind of now a dynamic career, you should really go into engineering. But also, equally, it's a very safe job. So no, there is always a demand for engineers. So equally, if you want to have, a safe, troublesome career, again, engineering is very good. So I really think it's a terribly, terribly underestimated career path. So don't be fooled by kind of stereotypes, because it's simply not what I have a feeling majority of people think it is.
Not all the Big Bang Theory. Rafi?
Yeah, I think I echo that. I think you need to be, engineer. The word engineer is about being ingenious. It's about, coming up with solution. And I think there's a lot of underestimation of what how creative engineers are. Yes, just and because you enter it, if I think about my career and how I moved along in my career, don't be afraid to start into one field. You're not there forever, even if you start, we always say to the student, if you start as a mechanical engineer, you still can change. You don't need, you explore and you decide, actually that's not what I want to do, and you change. And I say that at open days for the energy engineering, look at how different the panorama of engineering in energy is changing. We are moving towards renewable, and is fantastic. Is a new processes that are opening up. So the engineer needs to move the way they work. So it's actually quite an active and interesting career path.
So, anything from you?
I agree with what we maybe to add one point to what had been said. I think they should be started at early ages, and then parents, teacher, even in primary school, middle school, should be aware that engineering, it's really very broad, and there is this interdisciplinarity in the engineering. So make it from the early ages of our young girls that engineering, it's really a field where you can contribute in many ways depending on your preferences. And another tip that it was always given to me, it's very important to seek and to have a mentor, a supportive mentor, because of course, as a female in engineering, there will be down moments. So if you have supportive mentor, I think he will guide you, she or he will guide you to go through your career and increase in your path. And again, we have many problems in the engineering, and we should all work together independently of the gender, ethnicity. So just work together to solve those problems, because really we have a lot of open problems that we need to solve.
And Ellie, you have the final word.
I'd just like to echo what everybody else has said. And the only other advice I'd give is let go of this idea that trying hard is uncool. It's cool to be passionate. It's cool to give things a go. So
fantastic. Thank you very much. And a huge thank you to this great group of women that have taken part in this event today to celebrate International Women in Engineering Day. A great cause, and really, really great to shine a light on all those achievements that people didn't want to talk about, but hopefully we've done that today. And if you missed any of it, you can catch up. A recording of this will be put on our YouTube page, and do get in touch via social if you need to. But from all of us here at DMU and to this great group of people, thank you very much for watching. Goodbye.